Hi, welcome to this new episode of Talk with the Experts. Today we've got Ben Allen. Ben, can you introduce yourself and tell us what you do here at ASA?
Hi there, my name is Ben Allen and I'm the Head of Product. I've been with ASA for around 14 years now. As we say, I'm now working as Head of Product, so we cover from product innovation, taking it through its go-to-market strategy, take the products to market, and then the life cycle element of product obsolescence and looking at what the future is for those next phases of products that we want to introduce to market.
Sweet. So you mentioned there the future of ASAF. At the moment, we're going through quite a drastic change of new products, new developments. And the one big thing we're pushing at the moment is that more than a yellow barrier. Can you explain to us what more than a yellow barrier means to us in real terms?
Okay, so naturally, everybody looks at all the products in the marketplace. So polymer safety barriers, they're black and yellow. Everybody's products all look the same. But when you start to dig deeper and really start to do your market research and understand why our products have come to market, how we're delivering them to understand customers' applications, what problems we're trying to solve for the customer, and how in turn we're looking at more than just selling products to customers. Mm-hmm. We're wanting to reduce their operational risk, and by looking at implementing our range of products early on into the process, so whether it's a new build process, if you're looking to change how you're operating, if you're looking to implement new machinery, bringing our products in early into the process is how we can work with total cost of ownership model. So implementing what looks like a costly outset, especially in comparison to steel barriers, other products out there in the marketplace, the whole lifespan of the product and how that can fit in as a core piece of infrastructure into your facility means it is more than just another yellow barrier.
Yeah, I just wanted to pick up there around the sort of total cost of ownership side of things. So when we're comparing these safety barriers, we know that there's more than just ASAF on the market, but what really drives ASAF to bring in that total cost of ownership? Okay,
so obviously everyone's natural instinct is to compare price versus performance. Mm-hmm. And whilst there's always ambiguity in there, quite often you can be comparing apples to oranges. So if we take our product offering and how we've got service models in there, warranties that we have against the products, but also its performance. So we've got historic sites, customers like Gatwick Airport, Heathrow Airport. Mm-hmm. Our product is still in there from 14, 15 years ago when I first joined the business. That product is still working for them now. Yeah. So that initial outlay is now being served time and time again for them. Mm-hmm. So if you would compare that to a steel product, as a like-for-like comparison, they'd have been looking to replace that product 8-9 times by then.
Yeah, I think as well, touching upon that, the big thing people think about barriers is just injury, safety, but is there a bit more around the sort of downtime? How do customers drive our barrier into their sites by looking at that whole downtime and wanting to achieve that efficiency by reducing that?
Yeah, so again, if we go to the total cost of ownership model, and this is where historically people will reference return on investment, and that is physically comparing product to product over its lifetime. When you start to layer on the other elements in there, so the full return on capital employed, so from the downtime element, replacing the barrier, obviously there's the repair to that damage, but you've got the floor maintenance, concrete repairs, painting the product, as well as accounting for that operational area may be out of action now. So you're potentially shutting down an entire rack aisle. Whilst that's happening, there's the cost to the business of that rack aisle's now shut. Does that mean you're not loading a vehicle that's now sat there? Does that mean that vehicle isn't then going through its entire process? Mm-hmm. Is that potentially going to miss a ship? Yeah. So all of those elements is where the return on capital employed, the total cost of ownership is far more than just looking at the barrier itself. Yeah. Is when you take that barrier is there to solve a problem for a customer. And when you understand what that application is within that problem, how that all links together, once you understand what the cost is to your business of that problem occurring, is where you will see total cost of ownership and not just simply comparing products to products.
Yeah, you mentioned there around some of the key customers that ASAFE have. We know it's not everybody who's on board. We're still trying to change that mindset. But why do you think safety is still often treated as more of an expense rather than an investment?
So typically, and especially going back historically, when customers have come to work with us, it's usually because they've had an incident on site and it's a reactive purchase request. Therefore, there will be that initial cost and we're solving problems immediately. Yeah. When you look as barriers being more than a barrier, more than the yellow barrier, when you look at it being part of a service model, so if we talk about layering technologies in there, or if we look at this being a key part of your infrastructure, like you do with columns, like you do with a machine in your factory, they're all core parts of your business. Yeah. You need all of these things to work efficiently and smoothly. Mm-hmm. So that's how it can tie into being a bigger part of your business plan.
Yeah, I mean, it's great us sat here talking about this in this lovely office, but what sort of real world experience, I mean, you've mentioned how long you've worked for the business. What sort of experience have you had in terms of, can you describe a situation where our barriers have clearly prevented some of this, some of these damages? And are there any of these cases where the cheaper option, we've actually replaced it with an ASAFE barrier?
Yeah, so we've seen examples at some of the airports in the UK where we were deemed to be too expensive. Mm-hmm. And then very quickly, followers' products have gone in there and then they've been replaced. Yeah. Because fundamentally, airport masts, airport stands, they're such high risk to the infrastructure of the airport. Mm-hmm. They ended up coming back to us because they know our products do work. So again, that total cost of ownership. But there's also examples where we as a business have chosen to walk away from a project because we didn't have a product that was fit for purpose. Mm-hmm. We're not of a business that will just sell products for turnover. We're all about solving problems. If we don't have a product that's fit for purpose, we're happy to walk away from the project and work with that customer, whether there's other problems that they've got that we can solve, or work as a consultant and advise when there are other products, there's other companies in the marketplace that would be a better fit for them for that type of risk, that problem that they've got.
Yeah, so touching again upon your experiences and the amount of customers we've worked on, as it stands, where do you think we're at the minute in terms of cost or value? Where do you think our customers or the industry think safety barriers sit?
Fundamentally, it's still secondary into a building. Yeah. So it is still seen as a cost. As you start to layer edge devices in there and you start to bring data and those insights to market, and the more those edge devices, the better informed you can become. So the insights only grow stronger. Yeah. Once you start to model everything around that type of philosophy is where you can get insights and you can move to a world of preemptive maintenance, which is where you therefore reduce risk and that efficiency becomes to the forefront for the customer.
Yeah. So what are the key things do you think we're trying to change once that correct protection has been implemented into sites?
Yeah, so it's very much around understanding customers' applications and their problems. Mm-hmm. Once we really define that, and this is where we're shifting, and where the lot of market, and it's typical in a lot of passive product markets, is products are seen as a cost. They don't do a lot other than what they physically sit there and do. Mm-hmm. If you can turn those passive products into either electromechanical or layer edge devices in there, that's where you can really start to see the benefits as you start to see the data that's coming out of it. Yeah. That data being transformed into insights and providing customers and pushing actionable reports into them is where we can be seen as not just the market leader, the thought leader in where we are today, but how we can work with other products in their facility and give customers a more holistic view of what's actually going on right there and then.
Yeah. So again, we go back to that point of people thinking safety barrier, it's all about preventing injury. But how should companies really start to think about risk when planning their safety and investment, going from products we have today and then moving forward into the future of ASAFE products?
Yeah, so risk is obviously subjective. Mm-hmm. How customers want to define their risk, what their appetite for risk is. And different areas within the same site will all carry different types of risk.
Yeah.
So typically we will always see a dock door area is a high risk area. The size of the goods moving, the frequency of movements in there is very different to pedestrian walkways in and around office blocks. So understanding that risk and then looking at how you want to combat that. And everyone's assumption is we will put products in there and we'll stop people moving about. The best way to solve that risk is to actually step back 1, 2, 3 steps and understand, do you actually need to be doing that in that step? Obviously, there are times you can't change things. Vehicles have to be loaded. Yeah. And this is where we need to understand what the client's appetite for risk is and find products that serve them, but also understand, can we move traffic routes? Can we change pedestrian walkways and completely eliminate that risk of vehicles and pedestrians in facility?
So talking about that, we're looking at the early stage. It's not going onto a site with a brochure and saying we need to put all these products into one site. How have ASAF driven that mentality through their business in terms of being the expert and getting in there and doing that full risk assessment?
Okay, so the risk assessment is always a tricky one because quite often if we turn up on site or we've had a reactive phone call from a customer, we will quite often only see a snapshot in time. What we really need to be doing is working with that customer and understand everybody from who's involved in that application, what their job role is, why they're doing that role there and then, and then we can start to really define the risk. And looking at where they are now, where they are today, versus implementing a product from within our portfolio, how that can reduce risk and making it all measurable for them. That will then help to understand not just reducing the risk element, but it will help with total cost of ownership models. So if they need that to present forward as part of a business case for CapEx investment, or if they want to look at how we can start to layer technology in there as well, and start to look at the preemptive side, if we can understand where collision points happen, where heat maps occur, how we can then potentially move that a step further with those insights and look at doing things like we mentioned, the rerouting of traffic routes, the pedestrian routes. Do you have to have people accessing when vehicles are also present?
So that early risk assessment, it's not just about specifying a product, it's that whole journey of what ASA can potentially take the customer on going into new products and future technologies. Going to start closing things up a little bit and get some key takeaways. Ben, in your experience, if you had 30 seconds to explain why ASAF is an investment and not a cost, what would you say?
Okay, so I would say ASAF is fundamentally here. What we want to do is solve customers' problems. That isn't by selling products necessarily. It's by understanding what your problems are, what the applications are, what risks you have within your facility, and how we, as a world-class manufacturing company, but we've got the R&D teams, we've got our product teams, who we all work together with the manufacturing excellence that we have to solve real-world problems. At that point, we are working with you as a partner. We're not here for purchase orders. We're here to solve your problems today, but become part of a long-term investment into your facility, into how you want to operate moving forward. We want to work with you to implement best practice.
Definitely over 30 seconds, but that's okay. Well, just going back there, you mentioned upon, and just going off topic a little bit on that one, you mentioned the manufacturing here at ASAF. If you were a customer, if you were buying ASAF barriers, what confidence would that give you to have barriers which are manufactured in one place? It's local. It's all done here at ASAF. What does that give you as a customer?
It's not so much the fact it's all manufactured in one place. Obviously, lots of products around the world manufactured, assembled all in different areas. But it's the fact of our manufacturing facility is, and we're quite bad as it is a business, we always say it's Elland, West Yorkshire. We are just a world-class manufacturing facility. The tools that we have here, the processes, the machines, the infrastructure, the people that we have here is designed, and we're here to do world-class manufacturing. everything we've got from the innovation stage of how we understand customers' problems, start to develop, validate, test products. So again, our testing facilities, state-of-the-art testing facilities, with that world-class manufacturing means customers can trust that what we say, what we do is validated and true for them.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. And we've gone through that phase, risk assessment, understanding what we do as a business, but what would you want decision makers to really understand about safety barriers before making that purchase? So what's the thing what's going to get it over the line if you're that decision maker for an A-safe product?
So just because they all look the same, we are more than a yellow barrier.
Yeah.
When you look at our manufacturing processes, our design theories, principles, people that we have, and also the rigorous testing that we do, tens of thousands of hours of testing that's all externally accredited. Mm-hmm. So whatever we say, you can come and visit us, you can see the test facilities, you can see manufacturing, and you can see our test reports that all validate everything that we say and talk about in the market. As being market leader, we've got the evidence to back that up for you as well.
Yeah, perfect. And finally from me, for companies reviewing their safety strategy this year, moving into 2026, what's the first step you'd recommend?
Is speak to the people, whether on your shop floor, on your manufacturing floor, whatever that may be, speak to them and ask them what their biggest problems are. Because that will really start to unearth the insights. So taking it away from observations, what we see at first level, speak to the people doing the jobs, because they'll give you the honest truth. Yeah. They'll know what the problems are, and then you can start to look at your hierarchy and see which of those problems you should be attacking first.
That's all from me. Ben, anything else?
No, that's it for me.
Thanks for joining us.